Okay. Come into a tall seat in hero's pose, sitting back onto your heels. If this doesn't feel comfortable for you, I've got a block nestled right between my heels. My knees are together and I'll sit back. That gives a little bit of a landing pad for your sits bones. Alternatively, if you're not working with a block, then grab a folded blanket and you're gonna place it right in the crease at the back of your legs. So it's gonna go snuggled right up in the crease between the backs of your thighs and the calves, and you'll have a seat, right? So whatever you've got underneath you, whether you're connected to the earth or to something supporting you, root down. Bring one hand to your heart, one hand to your lower belly, and let the eyelids get heavy. And just let the breath pass normally, right? As it would if you were to arrive without altering the breath in any way. Just notice how the breath is arriving, where it's originating from. Sometimes when we first arrive onto our mat, we could be more of a chest breather, more of a belly breather. So just take a few moments to observe. It's a nice idea in this moment to set an intention for your warm-up, right? What would you like to get out of it? And then we're going to start to work on our conscious breathing, diaphragmatic breathing. So wherever you are in your breath cycle, empty all the air out of the body. Hold empty. Seal the lips. You're going to slowly breathe in for a count of 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Stay with that 4 count inhales and exhales. Breath just passing through the nose. Listen for a slight whisper in the back of your throat. Good. And we'll start to put more awareness into the breath. So as you breathe in for your count of 4, I want you to think belly, ribs, upper chest. Exhaling, upper chest, ribs, belly. Inhale, belly, ribs, upper chest. Exhale, upper chest, ribs, belly. Stay with that for a few more rounds. And once you've got a good hold on that 4 count breath, belly, ribs, chest, chest, ribs, belly, start to channel the breath a little bit wider. Start to regulate through the right and the left channels of the body. Think of even flaring through your side ribs, your side waist. Let the breath reach those places. Notice if your jaw has tightened up, keep the jaw soft. Good. One more round of your 4-count breathing. Inhale, belly, ribs, upper chest. Exhale, upper chest, ribs, belly. Good. And then float your eyes open, and you'll just be dropping into that conscious breathing whenever we start to hold poses. Let's start with a little bit of massage at the back of the neck. So from the base of your skull, that ridge at the back of the neck, and if you just travel down with your fingertips till you get to the bony part at the back of your neck, right? That's C7. You want to massage all along the length there. So just using your fingertips, right? You're going to pull the tissue away from the spine. Put a little bit of gentle pressure. Good. You can really do this as long as you'd like. And when that feels good, give your hands a shake, right? Now bring your fingertips to the jaw where the upper jaw and the lower jaw meet, and just put a little bit of pressure and some circles and start to loosen your jaw. You can move the jaw up, down, side to side. A little bit of a jaw massage to release any tension that we're holding in our jaw. Good. And then take your hands into a prayer. Take a vigorous rub back and forth. Warm the hands a little bit. And then you want to bring your hands to your rib cage, right? Start on one side. You could start all the way on the left side. And you just want to say hello to the rib cage. Like the fingers are going to massage their way underneath the rib cage, feeling out the diaphragm. And you're not putting so much pressure. Think a massage that you get, right? At first, the touch is very gentle. And then we'll start to go a little bit deeper. But first, just let this moment be a hello as you move from one side to the next. Working your fingers underneath the rib cage to loosen up that fascia. One side may feel different than the rest, than the other side. Right? There's different organs on each side. So just a good morning, a good evening, good afternoon to the ribs and to the diaphragm. You don't have to work your way in too deep yet. And you'll go back and forth 2 or 3 times, right? Take your time through it. And once you've made your way back to your starting point, then you can release that. Remove any props that are underneath you and come into a wide-kneed child's pose. So knees as wide as comfortable for you. Sit your bum back onto your heels and then start to reach your torso out in front of you and drop your third eye down onto the mat. Good. Start to crawl your hands over towards the right side. Take them as far as they can go, and let your left hand land on top of the right so that you get that extra stretch through your left side body. Draw your hips back. It's like you're sitting onto your left heel. Breathe into the left side body. Maybe you pick up on your 4-count breath ins and outs here. You want to take 10 deep breaths on each side. And then start to crawl your fingertips back towards center. And take your crooked child's pose over to the left. Crawl your hands as far to the left as they can go. Land your right hand on top of your left so you get the extra stretch on your right side. And then stay heavy through your right hip. Think of drawing your seat back towards your right heel. Let the head drop. Take 10 luxurious breaths on this side. And then lift your eyes slightly, crawl your hands back to center, handprint by handprint. And you'll press yourself up into your tabletop hands and knees. Make sure you're stacking the joints here, so shoulders over the wrists, hips over the knees. Keep the back of the neck long to begin. And then activate through your navel center. So lift the lower belly in and up towards the spine. Let's see if you can keep it there. And we're just going to start to move through some barrel spins, spinning our rib cage in all directions. So start by pressing it to the right. You're going to send your rib cage up towards the ceiling. So a rounded spine as you come back to center. Press the ribs to the left. And then you're going to arch through the spine and drop your ribs down low. And then make these rotations a little bit more fluid. And imagine that you're trying to get the very last bit of your favorite peanut butter or nut butter out of the jar. And you're using your ribs as your finger or your spoon. Nobody's judging. And when you're ready, let the head and the neck start to come long in the rotation with you. Circling through the head and the neck while you take your barrel spins. Right, the elbows are going to bend slightly as you circle your rib cage around. Allow the body to accommodate your movement. Maybe you start to pick up speed. Maybe you want to stay slow and steady. Take about 10 rotations moving in one direction. And then you'll reverse the flow, right? Counter flow, counter intuition. Press the ribs to the left, round through the spine as you press the back body up towards the ceiling. Press the ribs to the right, and then arch through the spine as you come back to center. And if you close down the eyes as you're doing this, you can allow yourself to get lost in the movement a little bit. And maybe there's any intuitive movement that wants to show up in this moment. Call it in. Good. So 10 rotations moving clockwise, 10 rotations moving counterclockwise. And then round your way back to center. Make sure the joints are stacked, right? Just cat-cows here. Tuck the toes, arch through the spine, send your heart forward, open up through the throat. On your exhale, press into the tops of the feet, round into the spine, drop the chin into the chest, and press the earth away. Just like that. Inhaling to arch. Exhaling to round, dome through the spine, and press the earth away. Make your way back to your neutral spine. Just give your tail a little bit of a wag from side to side. You're going to keep your left hand planted down onto your mat and sweep your right arm up to the sky. Ideally, we want to stack the shoulders or work our way towards stacked. Now thread the needle. Send the right arm underneath the left. You'll drop your right ear, your right cheek down onto the earth. And then crawl your left fingertips as far forward as you can and plant them into the earth and just stay and breathe. We'll take 5 breaths in your thread the needle pose. Slide your left fingertips back in front of your face. Press into your left hand and inhale the right arm up to the sky. Good. Bring your right hand back down onto the mat. Wag your tail from side to side. And then press down in your right hand, left arm sweeps up to the sky. Maybe you could see your left thumb working the shoulders to stacked. Exhale, thread the needle, left arm comes underneath the right. That left palm will be facing up and you'll drop your left ear, left cheek down onto the mat. Crawl your right fingertips forward and tent them into the earth. Stay and breathe. Anytime you need an open mouth exhale to release any stagnant energy, please feel free. Walk your right fingertips back in front of the face. Press down and inhale your left arm up to the sky. Place it back down onto the mat and give your tail a little bit of a wag from side to side. Then sit back onto the heels, shift onto one outer hip and swing your legs around to the top of your mat. And you want to find a straddle here, but not your widest straddle. So you still want the legs to be in line with the hips, right? Flex the feet away from you. So really press through the heels so that the legs stay engaged. And then bend your right knee and bring your right foot to the inseam of your left thigh so that you have almost like a figure 4 shape in your legs. And let's take a little bit of a seated twist. Left hand comes to your right outer thigh. Drop your right fingertips behind you. They could be tented or planted into the earth. The first part of the twist is lengthen the spine. So sit up tall, root into your right fingertips, and keep both sits bones pressing into the earth. And on your exhale, start to roll that right shoulder open away from the heart and gaze beyond your right shoulder. You don't have to torque it too hard, but you'll move with the breath in your twist. So inhale to find length. Exhale to revolve. Good. Do that one more time. Inhale, tall spine. Exhale to revolve. And then stay in your twist, but reach your right arm up to the sky alongside your ear and turn this into a side body stretch, like you're reaching towards your left toes, but you don't want your heart to spin down towards the earth, right? Keep rolling your right ribs back into space, like you're giving your heart and your collarbones some sun, and take 5 luxurious breaths in your side bend. After your 5th exhale, circle that right arm down and then walk both hands out in front of you. You could drop your elbows down in front and just let your head hang heavy. An easy pour out. Good. Roll yourself up to sit vertebrae by vertebrae. And then plant your right hand behind you, right outside of your right hip. We're going to take a big expression called a stargazer pose. Press into your right palm, press into your right shin, and then lift your hips up. You'll step into your left foot and reach that left arm towards the back of your mat or the back of your space. Get long and active on your left side. And then drop your seat and switch your legs, right? So start in your straddle. Once again, lengthen the right leg, not your widest straddle. Fold your left knee in and connect the left foot to the inseam of your right thigh. Root down through both sits bones. Sometimes a good way to help doing that is to pick up the booty flesh on each side and move it off to the sides so that you can really root down into your seat. Good. Right hand reaches for your outer left thigh. Drop your left fingertips behind you. Take a breath in for length. Crown of the head reaches higher. Exhale, let your left shoulder roll open away from the heart and gaze beyond your left shoulder. Good. Move with the breath. Inhale to lengthen. And exhale to revolve. Good. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, twist towards the back of your mat. And then stay in your twist. Extend the left arm up to the sky alongside your ear. Side bend it over to the right in the direction of your right toes. But again, let your left ribs roll back into space. You want your heart to see the sun. And take 5 luxurious breaths in your side body stretch. Good. Left hand is going to circle down. Uncross the arms, drop the elbows in front of you, and just let your head hang heavy. Keep the jaw soft. Let there be space for your back teeth. And then roll yourself up to sit. Bring your left hand behind you outside of the hip. Take your stargazer pose. Press into the left palm, the left shin. Lift your hips. Let the right toes come down onto the earth. And sweep that right arm towards the back of your space. Get long on the right side. Keep pressing your hips forward. And then release your seat. Good. Come into your tabletop, hands and knees, please. And then just sit back onto the heels for a moment. I'm gonna grab a blanket. If you need padding underneath your knees, then put a blanket underneath your knees. Our old knees could be a little cranky, right? And I'm just gonna turn to the side so that you can watch me from here. But we're gonna come into a baby camel pose, a big heart opener, but we're not gonna go deep, deep, deep into the back bend just yet. Tuck the toes behind you and even work the pinky toes to tuck under. And then bring your hands to your imaginary back pockets, right at your lower back, and try to wrap the elbows in. And that's going to give you a little bit of a lift of the heart already. Now keep your eyes open, right? So find a spot in front of you to look at. You're going to start to press your hips forward into space and draw a line with your eyes up the wall in front of you until you see the ceiling up above. Eyes stay open in your camel pose. Keep softening the shoulders down, but lift your heart up towards the ceiling. 5 big breaths here. And then trace the line with your eyes from the ceiling back to your starting point. Right? Coming out of the back bend slowly. Untuck the toes and sit back onto your heels in your hero's pose. Close down the eyes and just let the spine neutralize. Now stand up onto your knees, please. I am going to turn to the side once again since I don't have much space here. You're going to stand up onto your left knee, but extend your right leg out to the right and let the pinky edge of your right foot be parallel to the side of your mat so that your right toes are pointing towards the top of your space. We'll get a little bit more into the side body here with the gate pose. All right, so extend your arms out to the side. Think of getting wider from middle finger to middle finger. Take a breath in here. On your exhale, right arm comes up to the sky. You're gonna drop your left arm comes up to the sky, right hand drops down onto the leg, and you'll reach up and over on your exhale. Holding for 5 breaths. Maybe you're looking beyond your right arm up towards the ceiling. If that causes any suffering in your neck, you're looking straight ahead. Good. Breathe in. You're going to come back to a neutral spine. Arms are wide. Take another breath in here. On your exhale, drop your left hand down onto the mat. Right arm comes up to the sky, and you'll turn this into a side body stretch, reaching that right arm up and over. Almost like a modified side plank. Stay active even through the fingertips. 5 breaths here. You already started counting. And then use an inhale to come back up to a neutral spine. Good. Drop the arms down and bring your left knee back down onto the mat. All right. We're going to take our camel pose again. right? Still not forcing it. Maybe the back bend comes in a little bit bigger this time. Tuck the toes behind you, hands to your lower back, right? Your imaginary back pockets, and then wrap your elbows in towards each other. You'll find already a lift of the heart when you do that. Find your starting point in front of you, a spot on the wall. Now start to send your hips forward into space. Trace a line up the wall until you see the ceiling. Good, and you'll stay here. So important in camel to remember that eyes stay open. You want the front of the throat open, heart is lifting, and the jaw is soft. Good. Start to trace the line with your eyes back to your starting point to come out of the back bend slowly. Untuck the toes, have a seat on your heels, hero's pose. Close down the eyes and let the spine neutralize. Check in with the breath if it feels a little bit jagged, right? Come back to your 4-count diaphragmatic breathing. And then stand up onto the knees. All right, we're gonna take our gate pose the other side. This time, stand up onto your left knee, extend your right leg out to the right, and make sure the pinky edge of your right foot is parallel to the short edge of your mat and the toes are pointing in the direction that you're facing. Take your arms wide for your gate pose and breathe in. Good, left arm reaches up to the sky. The right arm is gonna drop down onto the right leg. Now reach up and over on your exhale. Let the right fingertips slide a little bit further down the leg. Keep rolling your left ribs back into space and take 5 full breaths here. Good, use an inhale to come back to center, get longer from wrist to wrist, arms are teed to the side. Exhale, left hand drops down onto the earth, reach your right arm up to the sky, side bend it over to the left. Let that right arm frame the face, even reach through your fingertips. Give yourself 5 breaths here. Now press into your left fingertips to lift you back up to a neutral spine. Arms are wide. Step your right knee down next to your left and drop your arms down. All right. So let's try our camel pose once again. But this time we're going to turn it into a little bit more of dynamic movement. Okay, toes tucked behind you. Take your right arm up to the sky, eyes steady in front of you. I'm actually going to turn to the side so that maybe this will be a little bit more helpful for you. Right arm up to the sky. Bring your left hand to your left heel. So you're already leaning back, finding a back bend. Take a breath in. On your exhale, circle that right arm out in front of you, drop your butt onto your heels, and then right hand comes to the heel, inhale your left arm up to the sky. Good. Left hand circles down to the right, take it all the way around, left hand finds the heel, right arm up to the sky. Lean back. Good, and you can really take this at any pace. Make sure you're flowing with the breath. A dancing camel. Maybe it's an inhale to lift the arm. And then an exhale to draw the hips back, circle that right arm all the way to the right heel. Left arm comes up to the sky. Just a little bit more of dynamic movement as we get a little bit deeper into the back bend. And maybe your left hand comes to your heel and you take a full camel pose. And if you're not there, no worries, right? You can always bring your hands back to your support, back to your lower back, and let it be a mini back bend, a mini camel. Trace your eyes from ceiling to wall in front of you, untuck the toes, sit back onto your heels, and take 5 breaths here in your hero's pose. Let the spine reset. And you want to come back to our rib cage massage and see if we've got a little bit more space to dig in. So starting from one side, fingertips find the bottom of your rib cage and start to tuck those fingertips underneath. Say hello to the diaphragm. You're going to take this slowly from side to side 2 or 3 times. Right, just gently working your way underneath. I'm even taking a little bit of circular motion here with my fingertips. And I'm going to go one more time all the way across. Good. And then move the blanket off to the side. Find your tabletop, hands and knees. This time, tuck the toes behind you and lift the hips up and back into a downward facing dog. Let the head drop as you fold over your legs and just start to pedal out through the feet. Take your dog for a walk and let the hips sway from side to side. You could check in with the hands, make sure the fingers are spread wide and you're pressing down into all spaces of the hands, the knuckle pads, the finger pads, the knuckle spaces. Try lifting your heels a lot. Think tailbone way up towards the ceiling. And then drop your heels all the way down to the right and lean your hips to the right as far as you can. So that might mean a stronger press through your right hand. You might even get really light in your left fingertips. But try to reach those awkward angles in the hips and in the side body. And then lift your heels, pass back through center, and drop your heels all the way down to the left. Press into your left hand a lot and lean your hips to the left as far as they can go. You can do that one more time each side. Lift your heels, drop them to the right, lean to the right. Lift your heels, pass through center, take them all the way down to the left. Sway your hips to the left. And and then come back to a quieter downward facing dog. You can keep a soft bend in the knees. The feet are about hip distance apart. Give your head a little bit of a shake. And then handprint by handprint, you're going to walk your hands to your feet at the back of your mat and find your first forward fold. So check the distance between the feet, 2 fists in between the inner arches. Reach for opposite elbows here and just let the head drop. See if you can even drag your elbows down towards the earth a little bit. And just sway from side to side. Give your head a little bit of a shake. You could keep the knees soft, no worries. Switch the forearm that's on top in the bind of your elbows. Good. And then release your fingertips back down onto the earth. Bend the knees as much as you need to so the belly and the thighs are connecting. Let the head drop. And then vertebrae by vertebrae, slowly roll yourself up to stand. Press into the feet to lift the head and the neck. Take your shoulders with you and shrug them up towards your ears. And then exhale, soften them down the back. Good, do that 2 more times. Inhale, shoulders to the ears. Exhale, circle them back down. 1 more time for good measure. Good, palms face outwards. Close down the eyes here. And then with so much trust in yourself, in each step that you take, you're going to walk yourself to the top of your mat with your eyes closed. Deep inner trust. You know your way there. And once you get yourself to the top of your mat, let the eyes float open. You can check out how you did. But just give yourself a moment to let the mountain land, right? Your body is the mountain. You're rooting down into all 4 corners of the feet. Imagine there's a string attached to the crown of your head, and it's lifting you straight up. The crown of your head is the summit of the mountain. Take a breath in. And sigh it out. Good. Keep a little buoyancy in your knees here. And you're going to circle the arms out and up and find a high prayer at the top. Press the hands together, re-lengthen the legs at the top. On your exhale, soften the knees and circle the arms back down to your side. And just move with the breath. You've got 5 of these. Inhale to your high prayer. Soften the knees. Exhale, hands drop back down to your mountain pose. Good. Maybe the movement is a little bit more fluid. But let the breath be full and rich, right? Don't rush it. Don't force it. I think we have 1 more. Good. This time you're going to take your hands back into a high prayer. Lengthen the legs at the top. Soften the knees. On your exhale, take the arms wide and with a flat spine, fold forward into your legs, right? So the movement gets a little bit more dynamic. Inhale, circle the arms around and up and arrive in your high prayer. Exhale, swan dive down to your feet. Come back to a forward fold. 5 of these. Inhale to rise. And then exhale to swan dive back down to your toes. Good. Inhale. Exhale. 1 more time, inhale. You're going to stay at the top in your high prayer. And then drop the arms down and take an interlace of your hands right at your lower back. So the elbows are bent out towards the sides, right? Feet still about hip distance apart. As you breathe in, draw the knuckles down towards your heels, send your hips forward into space. Let your shoulder blades get a little bit of a squeeze, and then lift your heart, open up through the throat. Good, bend the knees. You're gonna roll forward over bent knees, come into a forward fold and reach your knuckles up towards the ceiling. See if reaching the knuckles higher up will help you iron out the wrinkles in the back of your neck. If you could press the heels of your hands together, awesome. If not, it's just giving us some information on the tightness in our shoulders. Take another breath in. And then release the bind of your hands and just hang heavy like a rag doll. Good. Bring your hands to your shins, lengthen out to a half lift, a flat spine, reach your eyes and your heart forward. And then fold over your legs. Good. Breathe in, circle the arms around and up. Find your high prayer once again. And then drop your arms down by your side, Tadasana Mountain Pose. You want to find that bind of your hands, your fingers behind you once again. And whichever thumb lands on top, just reverse that, right? Because we work in habitual patterns on the mat. We want the opposite thumb on top, and you'll do that all over again. Breathe in, draw the knuckles down towards the heels, press your hips forward into space, squeeze your shoulder blades, and look up. Big open heart in this moment. And then bend the knees, draw your hips back, and start to fold forward over bent knees. Knuckles reach up towards the ceiling as the head drops down. See if you can create more space between your shoulders and your ears. Good, and then release the binds of your hands. Let the arms drop down, ragdoll moment on your mat. Tent your fingertips and heel to your feet a little bit wider so they come off of your mat. And then bend the knees, draw the hips back. It feels like you're sticking out the booty, but think a flat spine in this moment. Walk your hands up to your thighs. You're gonna press down into the thighs to lift through the chest, and then extend the arms up to the sky to find a wide-legged chair pose, right? So you should feel this in your outer hips. Take a breath in your wide-legged chair. On your exhale, come up to stand and find cactus arms at the top, elbows bent towards the sides. Lean into a back bend, press your hips forward, look up towards the ceiling. On your exhale, come out of the back bend, find your high prayer. Pull it through the midline of your body and bend the knees as you come back into your wide forward fold. Good, we're gonna do that 5 times all together. Bend the knees, sit your hips back. Walk your hands onto your thighs. Press down to lift the chest and find your wide-legged chair pose. Bum drops a little bit as you extend the arms. Take a breath in. Come up to stand, find your cactus arms and send your hips forward into space. Good, come out of your back bend and trace a line through you with your prayer hands. Bow into your wide forward fold. Good, 3 more times. Bend the knees, draw the hips back. Walk your hands to your thighs. Press down, lift the chest. Find your wide-legged chair and breathe in. Exhale up to stand, cactus arms, back bend. Good, high prayer. Trace a line through you, bow into your wide forward fold. Good, bend the knees, hips draw back. Walk your hands onto your thighs. Inhale into your wide-legged chair. Exhale up to stand, cactus arms with the back bend. Good, find your high prayer. Pull it through the midline, wide forward fold. One more time, bend the knees, hips draw back, hands to your thighs. Press down to find your wide-legged chair and breathe in. Come up to stand, cactus arms, lean into the back bend. High prayer. Good. Trace a line through you, bow into your legs, forward fold. Now lift through the outer hips, lengthen the legs, let the head drop. You're going to spin the toes out and the heels in. Right? And then bend the knees, drop your seat down, and come into your yogi squat. Elbows to the insides of the legs. Sit up as tall as you can, and if your hips have a lot to say in this moment, you might need a block to have a seat on it. But the idea here is to really root down into your heels. So if the heels aren't coming down, then take your feet wider, and that might mean you don't drop down as low. But in this squat, right, think of giving your whole pelvic floor a squeeze and a lift, and then press your pelvis as far forward as you can so the back body is absorbed by the front. And then lift the backs of your ears and your navel even higher towards the ceiling. Soften through the jaw and let it be 5 loving breaths that you're sending into the hips. Let the breath be rich and full. And then just breathe through the heat of this pose. Good. Float your eyes open, drop your fingertips down. Lengthen the legs, parallel the feet. If you've got a block underneath you, move it off to the side. And then heel toe your feet back to hip distance. Bend the knees as much as you need to so that you can start to lower yourself slowly all the way down onto your seat. And once you're down, build your comfortable seat once again. So even if that means a different seat from how we started, even if it means you need to prop yourself up against the wall to give yourself some support to keep a tall spine, even if it means stepping your feet down in front of you, just anywhere you can find a tall spine. And we're going to end with a little bit of breath work, right? This breath work is going to be a little bit activating because we'll do some open mouth breathing. You can bring your hands down onto your legs. Maybe the palms are facing up this time for inspiration. Close down the eyes and just observe the breath in this moment, in and out through the nose. Then you're going to part your lips and just start to breathe through the mouth. So like I said, this is quite activating. It's also drying for the mouth. So if you need to swallow, please feel free to swallow. If this starts to aggravate your mouth, your jaw a little bit, know that you can always alternate your inhales and your exhales with mouth and nose, but we want to mainly breathe through the mouth here. So some open mouth breathing. Keep the fullness of your belly. Empty all the air out of the body. You'll take a breath in through the mouth from the belly. Take a second breath right away through the chest. Exhale through the mouth. So it's 2 ins and 1 out. Stay with that. 2 ins, 1 out. 2 ins, 1 out. And remember, if it becomes too activating or too drying, alternate your inhales and your exhales with mouth and nose breathing. In, out, in, out, in, out. Stay with it, right? You want to start to create a windstorm that's running through your body, enough movement through the breath to start to stimulate all of your internal organs, the heart, the lungs, the kidneys, the digestive organs. Keep moving through it. In, out, in, out, in, out. We have a breath retention coming in a moment, for a moment. Stay with your 2 ins and 1 out for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Empty all the air out of the body. Lengthen through the spine and hold empty. Right? If you need to breathe before my cue, that's okay. You'll take a sip of air, empty all the way out, and then hold empty. But if you're feeling a moment of panic, know that you are pushing through emotional debris and stagnant hormones, right? We've got a big breath in coming in 5, 4, 3, 2, take in as much air as you can. Hold full at the top. And then passively let the breath go through the mouth. Good, and then see if you can drop back into your 2 ins, 1 out breathing right away. Two ins, 1 out. Give yourself permission to be here. If there's a part of you that wants to resist, treat this breath work like cardio and stay anchored to my voice. In, out, in, out, in, out, in, out. Stay with it. Create that windstorm in the body to stimulate all the organs. Good, stay with it. Breath retention coming in a moment, for a moment, for 5, 4, 3, 2, empty all the air to the body. Hold empty, lengthen through the spine. Give yourself another moment longer. 5, 4, 3, 2, take in as much air as you can. Retain full at the top and let your energetic field get bigger. And then passively exhale all the air out of the body. And just find your normal breathing. Easy ins, easy outs. No past, no future, no fleeting. Just here and now in this still point. Imagine in your mind's eye that there is an undisturbed lake in front of you with the most crystalline, glacial-like water. Not a ripple in sight. Stay here in this still point. I invite you to stay in this meditative state as long as you'd like. When the time is right for you to come back to awakened state, you'll let the breath come in with a little bit more awareness. Take your hands into a prayer and vigorously give your hands a rub back and forth. Create some heat between the palms. And then place your hands right over your heart center and press the warmth of your hands down into your heart and just make a connection. And just bow your chin towards your chest, bowing in gratitude and thanking yourself for showing up for you today. Lift your eyes when you're ready, let them float open. Peace, sister. Om Shanti, 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 Om.